This video, I'm going to show you a few ways that you can change up your child's pose, but go ahead and do it with me and you'll get a great stretch as we go through each different pose and variation. Now, normally in yoga, child's pose, we come down on top of the knees, but if you have a different body shape like mine, it doesn't feel great. The belly just feels scrunched together. The diaphragm feels like it cannot expand to inhale. It's very uncomfortable. So first, and throughout this little video, we'll do a wide leg child's pose, bringing the toes together and the knees apart. Now immediately this makes so much more room for my belly, for my chest. Just feels really good, and I'm also getting more into the hips here. So take this down, exhaling. We'll only do each pose for a few breaths as we change through them and notice how her arms are back and everything feels. And at any point in time, go ahead, sigh it out. Release tension, stress, just letting things go. Our first change to a child's pose, we're going to take those fingers up into our spider hands or claw hands. And what we're doing is making this passive pose, this resting break pose, into an active pose and engaging the shoulders. And you'll feel it mid-back. Breathe. Notice how the back feels, the shoulders. You might want to turn a little bit, temple to temple here. Nice little stretch. This is a great variation in your child's pose, especially if you're doing a flow and there's a child's pose in the middle, just keeping the body active. You can also take the hands wider if you'd like and turn the cheek. Being careful with the neck and just noticing how you feel. Making sure you're heading to the other side. Bring the head back to neutral, down to the ground, and walking the hands all the way to one side. And you can go down from those spider hands and keep the palms on the ground. Walk everything to one side of the mat, and while you're on that side, push into the opposite glute and making sure, sometimes we kind of ride up while we head over. Getting this beautiful, really yummy side bend. Keeping the deep breaths. Take your last inhale on this side and exhale. And then walking everything over to the other side. And again, remembering to push down the opposite side. Walk it back to the center, nice and slow. Now, if you're not used to a yin class where we've been in child's pose for about 5 minutes, the hips might be feeling a little funny. So if you'd like to stretch them out, coming up, stacking wrist, elbow, and shoulders, take a few of your cat-cows. Inhale here, then exhale, push the ground away, pulling in the pelvis. Inhale. And exhale. Go at your pace. And if you like any other movements, lately I've been liking this hula fun stretch. I'm just pulling in the pelvis and rotating the back. Just giving the hips, the hip sockets, the psoas a little bit of a break before we head back down into more child's pose. And when you are ready, toes coming back together, opening the legs, coming down. Now from here, we're going to take the hands back to prayer hands. So extend them long, bend the elbows, hands come up into those prayer hands position, and go back behind the head, thumb to the neck. Now, you can stop up here if you like, but the stretch is really great when you get the thumb to the neck. If this is uncomfortable with your hands for any reasons and you don't like it, you can always bring the hands back and just let fingertips touch shoulders. This one is my favorite. And again, mid-back, shoulder blades, turning child's pose into a more active pose. Take your inhale and sigh it out, exhale. Releasing anything that you've been holding on to, even in child's pose. My nose gets scrunched in this position, so breathing probably sounds slightly funny. Letting the arms, the hands go long. And again, anytime you're in child's pose and you like the rotation of temple to temple, you can always do that a few times before you find your stillness. Next variation of child's pose, we're going to go ahead and thread the needle. So come up slightly, just a little bit, grounding one hand, and the other one is going to slide through. Usually we do this up in table, we make this big stretch, bringing it down. But down here, we don't really want to go that way and hurt ourselves. So it's just a little bit, bringing it across and laying it down. Breathe here. If you like that wrap that we do when we're in our table, this is definitely going to make this feel it more on that arm that's wrapped. I personally don't like wrapping in child's pose. And again here, when we extend the arm long, can up onto the spider hands, the claw hands, if you'd like. Last breath. Inhale and exhale. Grounding the hand, pulling the arm out. Switching arms. And threading the needle here in child's pose. Again, if you'd like, spider hands, your hand down. Enjoy this twisting of the chest, the solar plexus chakra. Just getting a different kind of stretch here. And it's interesting because there's so many variations of every pose, yet when you're in a class, the teacher's just trying to get you through the flow. We can't stop and teach you every single one. So it's always helpful to go to workshops or even Google stretches and the variation. Take an inhale and exhale here. Lift yourself up, bringing the arm back down. The last variation we'll take is bring the arms long. You can always turn the palms up, let the shoulders have a little bit of a break. This is nice if you've been doing a lot of heart openers like camel, or you can bring the arms back to grab the heels. And it is a little bit more difficult when you are in wide leg child's pose. So coming together, if you want, in child's pose, to bring the arms back to grab the heels.
still does not feel good on my belly. But maybe it feels good on yours.
Come on up. Since we've been on those feet for so long, why don't we take a moment and just beat the backs of our feet? And all I'm doing is one of these, getting some circulation in through the toes, into the ankles. And maybe you'd like to pop the toes and squat back on them, giving yourself just a little bit of help with that circulation into the feet, into the ankles, into the toes. And go ahead, rotating toes one way and then another, since we have been down in that child's pose position for a little while. And if you'd like, take a few more cat-cows. Always cat-cows, right? Pushing the ground away, pulling in the pelvis, getting the shoulders onto the ceiling. Inhaling, coming down, stretching up. And if you'd like, a downward facing dog. Again, pedaling out here, getting some circulation into the tops of the feet and the toes. Maybe even turning over the toes and your dog. Taking it for a walk. Whatever you need here after those great child poses. Hope you enjoyed. Try them in your next yoga class.